The warning lights on the control panel turned red. Marcus Cole grabbed the steering controls tight as his old cargo ship shook hard. Something was very wrong with the engine. He could hear metal breaking somewhere behind him. The ship was dying. "Come on," Marcus said to himself. Just a little more. Through the front window, he could see a massive space station floating in the darkness. Nexus Prime. It was a place where many different alien species came to trade and talk. Marcus had been there before, but never like this. Never as a man whose ship was falling apart. He pushed the controls forward and aimed for the station. The ship shook again. More warning lights. More sounds of breaking metal. But Marcus did not give up. He had been a pilot for 10 years. He had survived worse things than a broken engine. The ship entered the station's landing area. It hit the ground hard and slid across the metal floor. Sparks flew everywhere. Marcus held on tight until the ship finally stopped moving. For a long moment, he just sat there. His hands were shaking. His heart was beating fast. But he was alive. Marcus opened the door and stepped out. The air inside the station smelled strange, like chemicals and alien food mixed together. Around him, different creatures walked past. Some had 4 arms. Some had scales instead of skin. Some floated instead of walking. They all looked at his damaged ship and then looked away. Nobody offered to help. A station worker came to him. The worker was a short creature with gray skin and big black eyes. "Your ship is damaged," the worker said. His voice was flat and without feeling. "I know," Marcus said. "I need repairs." The worker looked at a small device in his hand. "Repairs will cost 15,000 credits. Marcus felt his stomach drop. He had maybe 2,000 credits. Not even close to enough. "I do not have that much," he said. The worker did not care. "Then your ship stays here. You pay docking fees every day until you can pay for repairs. If you cannot pay docking fees, we sell your ship." Marcus wanted to argue, but he knew it would not help. This was how things worked in the galaxy. If you had no money, you had no value. Especially if you were human. Humans were new to space travel. They had only joined the galactic community 50 years ago. Most alien species saw humans as primitive and weak. They were like children who had just learned to walk. Trying to run with adults, Marcus found a cheap room in the lower levels of the station. The room was small and dirty, but it was all he could afford. He sat on the hard bed and looked at the ceiling. He had no money, no working ship, and no way to call for help. The communication systems on his ship were broken too. The next morning, Marcus went looking for work. He needed credits, and he needed them fast. He found small jobs around the station. He carried boxes for merchants. He cleaned floors for restaurants. He fixed small machines for shops. The pay was terrible, but it was something. Days passed. Then weeks. Marcus worked every day from morning until night. His body hurt. His hands were rough and cut. But slowly, he saved a little money. During this time, he watched the station carefully. He learned which areas were safe and which were dangerous. He learned which alien species were friendly and which ones hated humans. One day, something different happened. A large ship arrived at the station. It was beautiful, made of smooth silver metal that seemed to glow. Marcus had never seen anything like it. The Selvari. Someone whispered nearby. Marcus had heard of the Selvari. They were one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. They were tall, with silver skin and eyes that glowed violet. They were known for being cold and calculating. They believed in logic and strength, not emotion. A group of Selvari walked out of the ship. They wore long robes of deep purple and blue. They moved with grace, like dancers, but their faces showed no emotion. Station workers rushed to greet them. Bowing low. At the front of the group was a female Selvari. She was taller than the others, and her silver skin seemed brighter. Her violet eyes looked at everything with sharp intelligence. She was clearly someone important, but what caught Marcus's attention was the small figure walking beside her. A child, a young Selvari girl, maybe 6 years old by human standards. She had the same silver skin as her mother, but her eyes were wider, more curious. She looked around the station with wonder, not coldness. Marcus watched them walk past. The important female never looked at him. To her, he was invisible. Just another primitive human doing dirty work. He went back to his job, carrying heavy boxes to a merchant shop. But he could not stop thinking about the child. She had looked so different from the other Selvari. So alive. Later that day, Marcus was walking through a corridor when something bumped into his leg. He looked down and saw the Selvari child. She had run away from her guards and was exploring the station alone. "Sorry," the child said. Her voice was high and sweet. Marcus knelt down to her level. "Are you okay?" The child looked at him with big violet eyes. She tilted her head, studying him like he was something strange and interesting. "You are human," she said. "Yes," Marcus said. "My name is Marcus." "I am Lysa," the child said. Then she giggled. "You have strange eyes. They are brown like dirt." Marcus could not help but smile. "And your eyes are purple like flowers." Lysa giggled again. She seemed happy, not afraid. She was very different from the cold adults of her species. Then Marcus heard footsteps. Fast footsteps. He looked up and saw the important female Selvari coming toward them. Guards walked behind her. Her violet eyes were fixed on Marcus, and they were not friendly. "Lysa," the female said. Her voice was cold as ice. "Come here, now." The child's smile disappeared. She quickly ran to her mother's side. The female looked at Marcus. She studied him for a long moment. Her face showed nothing, but Marcus could feel her judgment. He was human. He was beneath her. "Stay away from my daughter," she said. Then she turned and walked away, pulling Lysa with her. The child looked back at Marcus once. She gave him a small wave. Then she was gone. Marcus stood alone in the corridor. His heart was beating strangely fast. He did not know why that moment felt important. He did not know that it would change his life forever. He went back to work, carrying boxes and cleaning floors. But sometimes he would look up and see the Selvari delegation moving through the station. And sometimes he would see Lysa looking at him with those curious violet eyes. The galaxy was a cold place. Most species cared only about power and profit. But Marcus had seen something different in that child. Something warm. Something worth protecting. He just did not know how important that would become. 3 weeks had passed since Marcus first met the Selvari child. He continued his hard work on the station, saving credits slowly. His body had grown used to the long hours and heavy lifting. His hands were rough like stone now. The Selvari delegation was still on the station. They were there for important meetings with other species. Something about peace treaties and trade agreements. Marcus did not understand the politics, but he could see that these meetings were important. Guards were everywhere. Security was tight. Marcus was working in the commercial district that day. It was the busiest part of the station, filled with shops and restaurants. Aliens of many species walked around, buying things and eating food. The air was loud with different languages and strange music. He was carrying a heavy box of machine parts for a merchant. The box was almost too heavy for one person, but the merchant did not want to pay for 2 workers. Marcus had learned not to complain. Complaining meant no pay. He set the box down outside the merchant's shop and stood up straight. His back hurt. He stretched his arms above his head and looked around. That was when he saw Lysa. The Selvari child was with her mother and several guards. They were walking through the market area. Vera, The mother was speaking with an old alien merchant. She looked serious, focused on something the merchant was showing her. Lysa stood nearby, looking bored. Her violet eyes moved around the market, looking at all the strange things for sale. Then her eyes found Marcus. She smiled and waved at him. Marcus smiled back and gave a small wave in return. He had seen Lysa a few times over the past weeks. She always smiled at him when their eyes met. It was strange how such a small thing could make his day feel brighter. Vera noticed her daughter waving. She followed Lysa's gaze and saw Marcus. Her expression became cold. She put her hand on Lysa's shoulder and pulled her closer. Then she turned back to the merchant, ignoring Marcus completely. Marcus sighed and went back to work. He picked up another box and started walking. Then the world exploded. The first blast came from somewhere to the left. It was so powerful that it threw Marcus off his feet. He hit the ground hard. The box flew from his hands and broke open, sending machine parts everywhere. Screams filled the air. Aliens ran in all directions. More explosions followed. Fire and smoke spread quickly. Marcus pushed himself up. His ears were ringing. His head hurt, but he forced himself to focus. He had been in dangerous situations before, back when he was younger and more foolish. He knew that panic would kill him. He looked around, trying to understand what was happening. He saw figures in black armor moving through the smoke. They carried weapons and were shooting at anyone they saw. Terrorists. The station was under attack. Then Marcus heard something that made his blood turned cold. A child screaming. He turned toward the sound. Through the smoke and fire, he could see Lysa. She was alone, standing in the middle of the market area. Her guards were on the ground, not moving. Her mother was nowhere to be seen. Lysa was crying and screaming for her mother. She did not know what to do. She was frozen with fear. Marcus started moving toward her. He pushed through the running crowd. He jumped over broken furniture and burning debris. His lungs burned from the smoke, but he did not stop. Then he looked up and saw something terrible. Above Lysa, a massive metal beam was breaking. The explosions had damaged the ceiling. The beam was huge, probably weighing thousands of pounds. It was coming loose from its supports. In seconds, it would fall directly onto the child. Time seemed to slow down. Marcus could see everything with perfect clarity. The beam breaking, the sparks flying, Lysa standing below, unaware of the death coming toward her. He ran faster than he had ever run in his life. The beam started to fall. Lysa finally looked up and saw it. Her violet eyes went wide with terror. She tried to move, but her legs would not obey her. Marcus reached her just as the beam came down. He threw his body over hers, wrapping his arms around her small form. He pushed her down to the ground and covered her completely with himself. He made his body into a shield. The beam hit his back. Pain. Unimaginable pain. It felt like every bone in his body was breaking at once. He heard himself scream, but the sound seemed far away. Darkness tried to pull him down, but he did not move. He kept his arms around Lysa, keeping her safe beneath him. He could feel her small body trembling. He could hear her crying against his chest. "It is okay," he said through the pain. His voice was weak and broken. "You are okay. I have you." The weight on his back was crushing him. He could not breathe properly. He could feel something warm running down his spine. Blood. A lot of blood. But Lysa was alive. She was not hurt. That was all that mattered. Marcus's vision started to go dark. He could hear sounds around him, but they were getting far away. Voices shouting. Feet running. More explosions in the distance. He tried to stay awake. He tried to keep holding Lysa, but his body was failing. The damage was too great that the last thing he heard before the darkness took him was a woman's voice. It was cold and controlled, but there was something else in it. something that sounded like fear. "Get this beam off of them. Now." Then everything went black. Vera had been thrown to the ground by the first explosion. When she got up, her guards were fighting the terrorists. Smoke and fire were everywhere. And Lysa was gone. Terror filled her heart. Real terror, something she had not felt in many years. She was Selvari. She was taught to control her emotions. But this was her daughter, her only child. She ran through the chaos, searching. She called Lysa's name again and again. Her voice was getting desperate. Then she saw the fallen beam. And beneath it, she saw a human body covering a small silver form. Vera ran to them. She called for her guards, but most of them were still fighting. Only 2 came to help her. They lifted the beam together. It was incredibly heavy, but Vera used all her strength. When the beam was finally moved, she saw the full picture. The human was Marcus, the primitive worker she had warned to stay away from her daughter. His back was destroyed. Blood was everywhere. His spine was clearly broken. By all logic, he should be dead. But beneath him, Lysa was alive. Not a single scratch on her silver skin. Not a single drop of blood. She was crying and shaking, but she was completely unharmed. This human had used his own body as a shield. He had taken the full weight of the beam onto himself to save a child who was not his own. A child of a species that treated him like dirt. Vara pulled Lysa from beneath Marcus's body. She held her daughter tight, feeling her small heart beating fast. Lysa was alive because of this human. She looked down at Marcus. He was not moving. His face was pale and covered in blood. He looked dead, but then she saw his chest rise slightly. He was still breathing. Barely. Something strange happened inside Vera's heart. Something she could not explain. This human, this primitive creature that everyone said was worthless, had just done something that no other species on the station had done. He had risked his life, given his life, for a stranger's child taught in Selvari culture. There was no higher act of devotion. Protecting another's offspring with your own body was sacred. It was something only bonded mates did for each other's children. This human had done it without thinking, without expecting anything in return. He had simply seen a child in danger and acted. Vera made a decision. She would not let this human die. Not after what he had done. "Bring him to our ship," she ordered her guards. "Take him to our medical bay, now." The guards looked surprised. They had never seen their mistress care about an outsider before. "My lady," one guard said, "he is human. Our resources are limited. It would be wiser to—" "I gave you an order," Vera said. Her voice was cold as winter ice. "Do not make me repeat it." The guards bowed and quickly picked up Marcus's broken body. They carried him carefully toward the Selvari ship. Vera followed, still holding Lysa in her arms. Her daughter had stopped crying. She was looking at Marcus's unconscious form with big, wet eyes. "Mama," Lysa said quietly, "will the nice human be okay?" Vera did not answer. She did not know. But she knew one thing for certain. She would do everything in her power to save him. Darkness. That was all Marcus knew for a long time. He floated in an endless black space, feeling nothing, seeing nothing. Sometimes he heard voices, far away like whispers in the wind. Sometimes he felt warmth touching his hand. But mostly, there was just the darkness. Then, slowly, light began to appear. Marcus opened his eyes. Everything was blurry at first. He blinked several times, trying to make his vision clear. Slowly, shapes began to form. A ceiling above him, smooth and silver. Soft purple lights glowing gently. The quiet hum of machines. He was not in a hospital. At least, not a human hospital. This place looked different. More advanced. More beautiful. He tried to move and felt something strange. No pain. He remembered the beam hitting his back. He remembered the terrible feeling of his bones breaking. But now, he felt nothing. Just a slight stiffness. Marcus looked down at his body. He was lying on some kind of medical bed, but it was not like any bed he had seen before. It seemed to be made of light and energy rather than solid material. His body was wrapped in thin silver bandages that glowed softly. "You are awake." The voice came from his right side. Marcus turned his head and saw Salvari standing there. It was a male, older, wearing long white robes. A doctor, probably. "Where am I?" Marcus asked. His voice was rough and weak. "You are on the Salvari diplomatic vessel," the doctor said. "You have been unconscious for 12 days. 12 days. Marcus tried to understand that. 12 days of darkness and dreams. "How am I alive?" he asked. "My back was broken. I felt it break. I felt it break." The doctor came closer and looked at a floating screen of data. "Your spine was fractured in 3 places. Your ribs were broken. Your internal organs were damaged severely. By all medical logic, you should be dead. Then how?" "We used our most advanced healing technology," the doctor said. "Technology we normally reserve only for our own people. Lady Vera ordered that no resource be spared to save you." Marcus did not understand. Why would the cold Salvari woman care about saving him? She had told him to stay away from her daughter. She had looked at him like he was less than nothing. "The child," Marcus said suddenly. Memory came flooding back. "Lysa, is she okay?" The doctor's expression changed slightly. Was that surprise on his face? "The child is perfectly unharmed," the doctor said. "Not a single injury. You protected her completely." Marcus let out a long breath. Relief filled his chest. Lysa was safe. That was all that mattered. The doctor continued to check the floating data screens. "You humans are strange creatures," he said. "Your body is weak compared to many species. Yet somehow, you survived injuries that would have killed most beings. Your will to live is remarkable." "I was not thinking about living," Marcus said quietly. "I was thinking about keeping her safe." The doctor looked at him for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly and left the room. Marcus lay there, staring at the silver ceiling. He thought about what had happened. He thought about the explosion, the falling beam, the decision to run instead of hide. He had not thought about it at all, really. He had just acted. Seeing that child in danger had turned off every other thought in his brain. Was that stupid? Probably. He had almost died for a stranger. For an alien child whose species looked down on humans. It made no logical sense, but Marcus knew he would do it again. Without hesitation, the door opened. Marcus turned his head, expecting to see the doctor again. Instead, he saw Vira. She walked into the room slowly, gracefully. Her silver skin seemed to glow in the soft purple light. Her violet eyes were fixed on him with an expression he could not read. She was wearing a simple dark blue robe today, not the formal clothes he had seen before. She looked less like a diplomat and more like a regular person. But there was still power in the way she moved. Authority in every step. She stopped beside his bed and looked down at him. "You are awake," she said. It was the same words the doctor had used, but they sounded different from her. Softer, somehow. "Yes," Marcus said. "Thank you for saving me." The doctor said you ordered them to use their best technology. Vera was quiet for a moment. "You saved my daughter. It was the least I could do. How is Lysa?" Something changed in Vera's eyes. A warmth appeared that Marcus had never seen before. "She asks about you every day. She calls you her guardian. She has been waiting for you to wake up." Marcus smiled a little. "She is a good kid. She is everything to me," Vera said. Her voice was simple and honest. Her father died 2 years ago in a battle. She is all I have left of him. When I saw that beam falling, I thought I was going to lose her too." Marcus did not know what to say. He just listened. Vera continued. "When I saw you running toward her, I did not understand. You are human. We are strangers to you. More than strangers. We are a species that has treated your kind poorly. Why would you risk your life for one of us?" Marcus thought about the question. "I did not think about species or politics. I saw a child in danger. That was all. Any person would do the same." "No," Vera said firmly. "They would not." I watched Marcus. In those terrible seconds, I watched the market area. Dozens of beings were there. Stronger than you. Faster than you. Closer to Lysa than you. Not one of them moved to help her. Only you. She sat down in a chair beside his bed. Her movements were slow and careful, like she was not used to being this close to someone. "Among my people, protecting another's offspring with your own body is the most sacred act possible. It is what bonded mates do. It shows that you value that child's life more than your own. It is the ultimate proof of devotion." Marcus felt uncomfortable. "I did not know that. I was not trying to follow your customs. I know," Vera interrupted. "That is what makes it meaningful. You did not do it for reward or recognition. You did it because it is who you are." They sat in silence for a while. Marcus could hear the soft hum of the ship around them. The gentle beep of medical machines. Then the door burst open. Lysa ran into the room, her small feet making quick sounds on the floor. A guard tried to follow her, but she was too fast. "Marcus!" She cried out happily. Before anyone could stop her, she climbed onto the bed and hugged him tightly. Her small arms wrapped around his neck. Her silver hair brushed against his face. "You are awake," she said. "I knew you would wake up. I told Mama every day. I said the nice human is strong. He will wake up." Marcus laughed softly and hugged her back. "I am awake, little one. I am okay." Lysa pulled back and looked at him with her big violet eyes. There were tears in them, but she was smiling. "You saved me. The big metal thing was falling, and you saved me. You are my guardian now." Marcus looked at Vera. She was watching them with that same unreadable expression. But there was something different in her eyes now. Something softer. "Lysa," Vera said gently, "we should let Marcus rest. He is still recovering." "But I want to stay with him," Lysa said. "I want to make sure he is okay." Vera walked over and gently lifted Lysa from the bed. She held her daughter close. "He will be here when you come back. I promise." Lysa looked at Marcus one more time. "You will not leave?" "I will not leave," Marcus said. "I promise." Lysa smiled and let her mother carry her out of the room. At the door, Vera stopped and looked back at Marcus. "Thank you," she said simply, "for everything." Then she was gone. Marcus lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling again. His mind was full of thoughts. About Lysa, about Vera, about the strange turn his life had taken. He had come to this station as a broken cargo pilot with no money and no hope. Now, he was lying in a silvery medical bay, being treated like something important. He did not understand it. But he knew one thing for certain. Something had changed. In him, in the way the Selvari looked at him, in everything. And he had a feeling that the changes were only beginning. Marcus was allowed to leave the medical bay after 2 more days. The Selvari doctors were amazed at how fast he was healing. They said human bodies were better at repairing themselves than they had thought. Vera gave him a room on her ship. It was a guest room, she said, for important visitors. Marcus tried to refuse. He said he could go back to his small, dirty room on the station. But Vera would not listen. "You saved my daughter's life," she said in her calm, cold voice. You will not return to living in a hole in the station's lower levels. This is not a request. So Marcus stayed on the ship. His new room was larger than any place he had ever lived. The bed was soft like a cloud. The walls could change color based on his mood. There was a window that showed the stars outside. It was beautiful. Every morning, Lisa would come to visit him. She would bring him breakfast and sit with him while he ate. She told him stories about her home planet. She asked him questions about Earth. She wanted to know everything about humans. Why do humans have so many different skin colors? She asked one day. Because we evolved in different parts of our planet, Marcus explained. Some places had more sun, some had less. Our bodies adapted. I like your skin color, Lisa said, touching his arm. It is warm. Like sunlight. Marcus smiled. And I like your skin color. It is beautiful. Like moonlight. Lisa giggled happily. She had become very attached to Marcus. She followed him around whenever she could. The guards had learned to stop trying to keep her away from him. Vera noticed this. She did not seem angry about it. In fact, she seemed pleased. Strange things began happening. Marcus's old cargo ship was suddenly repaired. When he went to see it, he found it had been completely rebuilt. New engines, new controls, new everything. It was better than new. Who paid for this? Marcus asked the station worker. Lady Vera, the worker said. She paid for the best parts available. She said to make it perfect. Marcus went to Vera to thank her. He found her in a meeting room, looking at star maps. You did not have to do that, he said. The repairs. It was too much. Vera looked at him with her violet eyes. Your ship was broken. Now it is fixed. There is nothing more to discuss. But I cannot repay you. Those parts must have cost. You already repaid me, Vera interrupted. You gave me back my daughter. No amount of credits can match that value. Marcus did not know what to say. He stood there, feeling awkward and confused. Vera stood up and walked toward him. She moved with that grace she always had, like water flowing. She stopped just a few feet away from him. You are a strange human, Marcus Cole, she said. You do not understand your own worth. Then she walked past him and left the room. More strange things happened. Vera began inviting Marcus to diplomatic meetings. She said she wanted a human perspective. The other Selvari officials did not like this. They looked at Marcus with cold disapproval. But no one dared to argue with Vera. Marcus sat in the meetings and listened. He did not understand most of the politics, but he learned quickly. He learned about the different species and their conflicts. He learned about trade routes and territorial disputes. He learned that the galaxy was much more complicated than he had thought. Sometimes, Vera would ask his opinion. What do you think, Marcus? Is this trade agreement fair? And Marcus would give his honest thoughts. He spoke simply, without the complicated words the diplomats used. Some of the officials laughed at him. But Vera always listened carefully. One evening, Vera invited Marcus to dinner. Just the two of them. Lisa was already asleep. They ate in a private room with a large window showing the stars. The food was Selvari cuisine, strange but delicious. Vera explained each dish to him. This is called silver wine, she said, pouring him a drink that glowed softly. It is made from a flower that only grows on our home world. Marcus tasted it. It was sweet and warm, unlike any drink he had ever had. It is good, he said. Vera smiled slightly. It was the first real smile he had seen from her. It changed her whole face, making her look younger and softer. You are very easy to please, she said. I have lived a simple life, Marcus replied. Small things make me happy. They talked for hours. Vera told him about her late husband. He had been a military commander. killed fighting pirates who attacked Selvari trade ships. She spoke of him with respect but not grief. Selvari did not believe in long sadness, she explained. They honored the dead by living well. Marcus told her about his life. Growing up poor on Earth, becoming a pilot because he wanted to see the stars. The years of lonely travel, moving cargo from one place to another. No family. Few friends. You have lived alone for a long time, Vera observed. Yes, Marcus admitted. I never found a reason to stop moving. Vera looked at him with those deep violet eyes. Perhaps you will find a reason now. Marcus felt his heart beat faster. He did not understand what was happening between them. He did not understand why this powerful alien woman was spending so much time with him, giving him gifts, inviting him to meetings and dinners. The next day, an old Selvari male approached Marcus. He was tall and dignified, with silver hair and wise eyes. His name was Theron, and he was the High Counselor of the Selvari delegation, the most important person after Vera herself. Walk with me. Human, Theron said. They walked through the ship's observation deck, looking at the stars together. Do you know why Vera is treating you this way? Theron asked. No, Marcus admitted. I have been very confused. Theron laughed softly. Humans are blind to what is right in front of them. Lady Vera is courting you, Marcus Cole. Marcus stopped walking. Courting? You mean like romantic courting? Yes. In our culture, when a female's mate dies, she may choose a new partner after a mourning period. She looks for someone who has proven themselves worthy, someone who will protect her offspring with their own life. Marcus felt dizzy. But I am human. You are. We are completely different species. Yes, Theron agreed. This has never happened before. A Selvari choosing a human. Many of our people are shocked. Some are angry. But Vera does not care about their opinions. Why would she choose me? She could have anyone. Someone powerful. Someone from her own kind. Theron looked at him with serious eyes. Power is not what she wants. She has enough power. What she wants is someone she can trust with what she loves most. Her daughter. You proved yourself in the most absolute way possible. Marcus was silent. His mind was spinning. Also, Theron continued, I think she has come to care for you. Not just for what you did, but for who you are. You are honest, simple, kind. These are rare qualities in the galaxy. They stood looking at the stars for a while. What am I supposed to do? Marcus finally asked. That is for you to decide, Theron said. But I will give you advice. Do not take too long to decide. Vera is patient, but she is also proud. She will not wait forever. That night, Vera came to Marcus's room. She stood in the doorway, her silver skin glowing in the soft light. Theron told me he spoke with you. She said, double quotes, yes. Vera stepped into the room and closed the door behind her. Then you know what I want. Marcus's heart was pounding. I am not sure I understand it. Vera walked closer to him. She stopped just inches away. He could feel the warmth coming from her skin. He could smell something like flowers and rain. I have watched many beings across the galaxy, she said softly. Leaders, warriors, diplomats, all of them calculating. Selfish. Thinking only of their own gain. She reached up and touched his face gently. Her fingers were cool and soft. Then I watched you run toward my daughter. A child you did not know. A child of a species that has treated you badly. I watched you throw your body between her and death. Without hesitation. Without thinking of yourself. Her violet eyes looked into his. I do not just want a protector for Lysa. I want you. I want your heart. Your kindness. Your strange human courage. I want all of it. Marcus could barely breathe. Vera, I am just a cargo pilot. I have nothing to offer you. You have already offered me everything that matters, she said. Now I am asking for more. I am asking you to stay, to be part of our family, to love us as we love you. She leaned forward and pressed her forehead against his. It was a silvery gesture of deep affection, he would learn later. Will you stay, Marcus Cole? She whispered. Marcus closed his eyes. He thought about his old life, the lonely journeys through space, the empty rooms, the cold mics. Then he thought about Lisa's smile, Vera's rare laughter, the feeling of belonging he had found here. He knew his answer. Before Marcus could answer Vera's question, alarms began screaming throughout the ship. Red lights flashed everywhere. The floor shook beneath their feet. What is happening? Marcus asked. Vera's expression changed immediately. The softness disappeared, replaced by the cold focus of a leader. We are under attack. She ran to a communication panel on the wall. Report. A voice came through the speaker. My lady, the Void Collective has returned. 3 attack ships. They are targeting us directly. The Void Collective. The same terrorists who had attacked the station before. They had come back to finish what they started. Get Lisa to the safe room, Vera ordered. Full defensive positions. I am coming to the bridge. She looked at Marcus. Stay here. You will be safe in this room. No, Marcus said. He grabbed her arm. I can help. I was a military pilot before I became a cargo hauler. Let me fight. Vera looked surprised. Then she nodded quickly. Come with me. They ran through the corridors together. Other Salvari crew members rushed past them, heading to their battle stations. The ship shook again as enemy weapons hit the outer shields. The bridge was a large round room, filled with holographic displays and control panels. Salvari officers worked quickly, calling out reports and orders. Through the main window, Marcus could see the enemy ships. They were dark and ugly, covered with weapons. High Counselor Theron was already there. His old face was calm, but Marcus could see the worry in his eyes. They want to destroy the delegation, Theron said. If they kill us, the peace negotiations will fail. The galaxy will remain at war. They will not succeed, Vera said firmly. She began giving orders. Her voice was strong and clear. The crew responded instantly. Marcus watched the battle unfold on the holographic displays. The Salvari ship was powerful, but 3 against 1 was bad odds. The enemy ships were attacking from different angles, making it hard to defend. Our shields are dropping, an officer called out. 20% power remaining. They are trying to disable our engines, another officer said. If they succeed, we cannot escape. Marcus studied the display. His military training came back to him, filling his mind with tactics and strategies. He saw something the Salvari were missing. Look, he said, pointing at the display. That ship, the one on the left. It is hanging back more than the others. It is probably their command ship. If we take it out, the other 2 will lose coordination. Theron looked at him with interest. How do you know this? I have fought pirates before, Marcus said. Cowards always keep the leader in the safest position. But that also means he is separated from support. Vera considered this for a moment. Then she smiled slightly. Do it. All weapons focus on the left ship. The Salvari vessel turned and fired everything at the command ship. The enemy was not expecting this aggressive move. Their shields failed quickly, and the ship exploded in a ball of fire. Just as Marcus had predicted, the other 2 ships began acting confused. Their attacks became uncoordinated. The Salvari took advantage and destroyed the second ship within minutes. The third ship tried to escape, but the Salvari vessel was faster. They disabled its engines and captured it. The battle was over. The Salvari had won. The crew cheered. Even the normally cold Selvari officers allowed themselves to celebrate. Darren walked up to Marcus and put a hand on his shoulder. "That was excellent tactical thinking," the old counselor said. "You saved us all." "It was nothing," Marcus said. "Just experience." Vera came to his side. There was something new in her eyes. Pride, perhaps, or something deeper. "Nothing, he says," she said to Theron. "First he saves my daughter with his body. Now he saves our entire delegation with his mind. And he calls it nothing." Before anyone could respond, a voice came over the communication system. "Selvari vessel. This is Captain James Walker of the Earth Defense Force. We received your distress signal and came to assist. It looks like you handled things yourselves. Impressive." Marcus froze. He knew that voice. James Walker had been his commanding officer years ago, back when Marcus was a military pilot. They had served together for 3 years. "Marcus?" The voice said, confused. "Is that you? The human on the Selvari bridge?" Marcus walked to the communication panel. "Yes, Captain. It is me. What in the world are you doing on an alien diplomatic vessel? We got a report that your cargo ship broke down weeks ago. We came to rescue you." Marcus looked at Vera. She looked back at him with steady eyes. Neither of them spoke. "Marcus?" Captain Walker said. "Are you in trouble? Do you need extraction?" This was the moment of choice. Marcus could go home to Earth, return to his people, go back to the life he knew, with humans who understood him. Or he could stay, with Vera, with Lysa, in a strange world where he did not fully belong. "Captain," Marcus said slowly, "I appreciate you coming for me, but I am not in trouble. I am exactly where I want to be." There was a long pause. "Are you sure about that, soldier?" Marcus looked at Vera again. She was waiting for his answer. Not demanding, not pressuring, just waiting. "I am sure," Marcus said. "I have found something here. A family. I cannot leave them." Another pause. "All right, Marcus. I understand. But know that Earth will always welcome you back. You will always have a home with us." "Thank you, Captain." The communication ended. Marcus turned to face Vera fully. "You chose to stay," she said softly, "even though you could have gone home." "This is my home now," Marcus said. "You and Lysa, you are my home." Vera's cold mask finally broke completely. She smiled, a real genuine smile that made her silver skin seem to glow even brighter. She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him. It was the first time she had hugged him. Her body was warm despite her cool skin. She smelled like flowers and starlight. "Thank you," she whispered against his ear. "Thank you for choosing us." They stood there for a long moment, holding each other. The bridge crew watched in amazement. They had never seen their lady show such emotion. Then a small voice broke the silence. "Marcus!" Lysa came running onto the bridge. She had escaped from the safe room again. Her violet eyes were wide with worry. "I heard there was a fight. Are you hurt? Is Mama hurt?" Marcus and Vera pulled apart. Marcus knelt down to meet Lysa at eye level. "We are fine, little one," he said. "Everyone is safe." Lysa threw her arms around his neck. "I was so scared. I thought the bad people would take you away." "No one is taking me away," Marcus said. "I am staying here, with you and your mother, forever." Lysa pulled back and looked at him with hope in her eyes. "Really? You are staying?" "You will be my guardian forever." "More than a guardian," Vera said, putting her hand on Marcus's shoulder. "He will be part of our family." Lysa's face lit up like a star. "Like a papa?" Marcus looked at Vera. She nodded slightly, giving permission. "Yes," Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. "Like a papa." Lysa screamed with joy and hugged him again. Vera joined the hug, wrapping her arms around both of them. Later that day, High Counselor Theron called for a formal meeting. All the important Selvari officials gathered in the main hall. "Today, we witnessed something remarkable," Theron announced. "The human, a species we have long considered primitive, showed more courage and wisdom than many of us could match. Marcus Cole saved Lady Vera's daughter with his body. He saved our entire delegation with his tactical mind. He has proven that humans are worthy of respect." The officials murmured among themselves. Some still looked doubtful, but many were nodding in agreement. "Therefore," Theron continued, "I propose that we offer humanity a formal alliance. They have earned it. And I believe that with humans at our side, the galaxy will be a better place." The vote was unanimous. The Selvari would become humanity's first true alien ally. News spread quickly across the galaxy. Other species heard about the human who had impressed the proud Selvari. Some were curious. Some were worried. But all of them were paying attention. Humanity was no longer invisible. They had stepped onto the galactic stage, one act of courage at a time. That night, Marcus stood at the window of his room, looking at the stars. Vera stood beside him, her hand in his. Behind them, Lysa was sleeping peacefully on the bed. "What are you thinking about?" Vera asked. "I am thinking about how strange life is," Marcus said. "A month ago, I was a broken cargo pilot with nothing. Now, I have everything." Vera squeezed his hand. "The universe has a way of putting us where we need to be." Marcus turned to look at her. Her silver skin glowed in the starlight. Her violet eyes were full of warmth and love. "I love you," he said. It was the first time he had said it. Vera smiled. She leaned in and pressed her forehead to his, that intimate Selvari gesture. "And I love you, Marcus Cole, my human, my guardian, my heart." They stood there together, watching the stars. A human and an alien. Two souls from different worlds who had found each other against all odds. Behind them, Lysa stirred in her sleep and smiled. The galaxy was vast and cold. But in this small room, on this small ship, there was warmth and love. There was Family Dot, and that was enough. That was everything.